Morning.
Morning.
Big strong welcome to you this morning after Christmas. Everyone's trees away. We've all stowed our tree away. Who's still got their tree up then? There are quite a few trees up.
12 days of Christmas.
12 days of Christmas. And who's made some adjustments to their diet? Yeah? Leftovers, yeah. I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it, over that period, how much we consume. Well, me certainly, anyway. And so it's really exciting to be back here and to start the new year again. And we've got lots of exciting things ahead. And we're obviously really hoping that you're going to get involved in being part of that. So I was thinking this morning, I've been thinking the last couple of weeks about what am I going to say on the first Sunday back? There's so much to say, isn't there? There's so much to want to share and to reflect on. So I've had to discard a lot of things, and I'm going to really streamline it. I know I'll probably say this every time, but I'm going to really streamline it and make it really simple. So last year, exactly on this Sunday, I talked in 2018. I talked about us going across an expanse of water. Does anyone remember that? I talked about standing on the shore, stepping into the boat, and the whole thing of trust, and the storms, and can we see into the distance? And I talked about all that. Yeah, that really transformed your year, I'm sure. So hopefully I will do the same today. So what's going to happen in 2019? So today I'm going to talk about hope for 2019, and I felt quite strongly about sharing two stories with you. So if I can have the first slide up, please, Becky. Now, I was reading this magazine the other day, and I came across this, and I was just dumbstruck. I just stopped in my tracks, and I was just looking at this creature, this leaf insect, and I was just, wow. I mean, the crazy thing about it for me was just, like all the little bits of brown detail, like it's been munched on. I mean, isn't that just incredible how God has created this creature? I mean, doesn't this creature just shout out, I was designed by an intelligent force. I didn't come about through my own kind of creating. I was made. And I just thought, oh, wow, that is just nuts. And apparently there's 50 different versions of them. We were going to give a list of what they were all called, and I would say them all, and that would have been very funny, because they have got odd names. So, okay, and next slide. So here we have a little bird. For a period of time at our house, for about 4 or 5 years, every year we had a bird like this, would come to our door handles of our house, on one side of our house, and it would go to the different handles, and it would sit with its eyes going into our house. So you would be sitting there, obviously, doing your thing, and then suddenly this little bird would appear. And we gave this little bird a name. We called it Sebastian. And this bird frequented our house for about 4 or 5 years on the trot. And it's just, again, just really weird how we had those little moments of, is the outside world, is the world out there trying to communicate to us? Is the miraculous, the eternal, communicating through this tiny little bird? It's somehow this bird was communicating to us. And so I just feel that these two stories just really point to what I want to talk about very briefly, succinctly this morning. So why don't we have Joe's going to read for us. Hillary's not here today. Sorry, Joe, I mentioned Hillary. Because Hillary obviously is a 10 out of 10 when it comes to reading. So we're going to put Joe to the test this morning. We're going to give Joe an opportunity to do a marvelous job here. So let's listen to this.
Okay, it says love, the motivation of our lives. If I were to speak with eloquence in earth's many languages, and in the heavenly tongues of angels, yet I didn't express myself with love, my words would be reduced to the hollow sound of nothing more than a clanging cymbal. And if I were to have the gift of prophecy with a profound understanding of God's hidden secrets, and if I possessed unending supernatural knowledge, and if I had the greatest gift of faith that could move mountains but had never learned to love, then I am nothing. If I were to be so generous as to give away everything I own to feed the poor, and to offer my body to be burned as a martyr, without the pure motive of love, I would gain nothing of value. Love is large and incredibly patient. Love is gentle and consistently kind to all. It refuses to be jealous when blessing comes to someone else. Love does not brag about one's achievements, nor inflate its own importance. Love does not traffic in shame or disrespect, nor selfishly seek its own honour. Love is not easily irritated or quick to take offence. Love joyfully celebrates honestly and finds no delight in what is wrong. Love is a safe place of shelter, for it never stops believing the best for others. Love never takes failure as defeat, for it never gives up. Love never stops loving. It extends beyond the gift of prophecy, which eventually fades away. It is more enduring than tongues, which will one day fall silent. Love remains long after words of knowledge are forgotten. Our present knowledge and our prophecies are but partial, but when love's perfection arrives, the partial will fade away. When I was a child, I spoke about childish matters, for I saw things like a child and reasoned like a child. But the day came when I matured, and I set aside my childish ways. For now we see but a faint reflection of riddles and mysteries as though reflected in a mirror. One day we will see face to face. My understanding is incomplete now, but one day I will understand everything, just as everything about me has been fully understood. Until then, there are three things that remain: faith, hope, and love. Yet love surpasses them all. So above all else, let love be the beautiful prize for which you run.
Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that just great? What an amazing chunk of the Bible. If we can just have that slide, Becky, of the bit I just want to focus on. So isn't that just an incredible piece? Isn't that just really amazing? What I just want to draw your attention to is the latter part of that piece, about looking in the mirror and only seeing faintly, not seeing clearly yet, living life at the moment where we don't have all the answers. I hope the bits that you do see about your life, about yourself, about others, about the world, about God, sustains you. The bits that you can faintly see and understand and give you that energy and keep you going, entices you even further, draws you even more into making decisions that maybe in 2018 you wouldn't make. Decisions like, maybe you get so attracted to this reflection that you want to spend time staring at this reflection. Or maybe you're happy to even stare at the things you don't quite understand, that don't reflect back, and you're quite happy to accept the uncertainty that life at times brings. I hope you make decisions in 2019 where you just want to be with your Creator, where you just want to be with God, the Holy Spirit, with Jesus. where his face is just so beautiful to you that you rather stare at that face and forego what maybe you were totally busy doing in 2018. That's what I want for myself. I want 2019 for me to get this increased desire, this increased appetite, this increased fire to want to live for this mystery, to want to live for this treasure. And Jesus, in Matthew, there's lots of his parables that are outlined there. If I can have that slide up, please, Becky. And there's this one parable that he mentions that is kind of like one of my favorites. And I think this communicates so brilliantly what I want for myself in 2019 and what I want for you for 2019. So the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. I really hope that you've got some grasp on this treasure, and that you're willing to and wanting and almost compelled, and you can't stop yourself from wanting to purchase that whole field and go on your hands and feet, go digging away at this treasure, sacrificing all, abandoning yourself, getting yourself all busy and digging out this treasure and living for this treasure and celebrating and living with it. And I am totally aware that for myself, many things get in the way. So I'll just mention a few things that get in the way for me personally, and I'm sure you can relate to those. I am fairly focused on growth. I like to consume a lot of kind of like intellectual, rational content, but then I find that my emotions or my spirit or my soul struggles to keep up. I might have all this intellectual knowledge and I can sprout stuff off, but then it's not reflected in my behavior. Do people relate to that? Or is that just me? Because I really do believe that the God you believe in should be reflected in how you behave. How you behave should reflect the God you believe in. And sometimes those things don't really marry up, do they? We have all this rational thinking, but we're not totally living it out. And we want this growth. I want this growth for myself. And when I look at you all, I so want that growth for you. I so want you to, to find more joy or to find more peace or to find more love or for your life to become better and better, the better it can be. And but growth is slow. That's something I've really had to learn in 2018. Growth generally is slow. It isn't that rapid. We want it to be rapid, don't we? We want somebody to come in here and we want to tell them and then bang. And I'm not saying that can't happen at all, but generally speaking, from what I've been looking at in 2018, looking at everybody, looking at myself, growth is a slow process. It takes a long time. So sometimes that affects the reflection that I see. Questions. I have a lot of questions. There are lots of things I don't understand about God. There are lots of things I don't understand about the world. There's lots of things I don't understand about theology, about the Bible, about the amazing stories in the Bible. I have lots of questions. I have lots of questions that are, things. There are lots of things about life that is irrational. Suffering's fairly irrational, isn't it? Love can be quite irrational. There are lots of things that are quite irrational. And I have lots of questions attached to that. But do I let those questions affect the reflection that I see about who God is, about who I am, and about who the world is? We've got to learn to live with those questions. And questions can make us feel very uncertain, can't they? uncertainty isn't easy to live with. I don't find uncertainty. I love certainty. And it's a little bit like, having a life craft, having a raft, and you've got those slats. It feels fairly certain, doesn't it, when you're standing on there, and then things get pulled away. Things happen to us, and suddenly things don't feel that certain. It's quite challenging, isn't it? And we can get really freaked out about the things that feel uncertain. But I hope that this reflection that you see brings you incredible joy, brings you incredible life, and loads of hope for 2019. I so want to go on this journey with all of you to discover more who God is, more of this shared hope that we can carry, that we can hope in for our community, for us as individuals. I mean, wouldn't it just be absolutely exciting when we are sharing, when we do this treasure seeking out on the high street, that this thing that we're sharing, this treasure that we're wanting to share with other people, we're just so desperate about wanting to share it that it just becomes really easy to do, because our awkwardness, our insecurities, our vulnerabilities just become more and more in the background. But our certainty about the hope for other people, the desire to want to share the gospel with them, just totally overrides that. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we see lots more of that in 2019? Yeah? Yeah? It would just be great, wouldn't it, if we can see that in our own families, around our dinner tables, and on our streets. In our household, I don't know what your perception is of the Hagemeyers. Some of it, I'm sure, is quite delusional. Katie and I have to really work hard to make sure that we live out what we believe. Because it'd be very easy for us just to ignore stuff, just not attend to what we're trying to provoke or trying to promote in our kids and in one another. So, for example, we can be sometimes quite relaxed, I'll use that word, about, having spiritual moments around the dinner table. We're quite good at, it becomes quite automatic to say a little prayer, doesn't it, before tea? And sometimes one of the kids nominate themselves, obviously, to get to the food quicker. But yeah, sometimes we have to be really deliberate about, let's actually just stop for a moment on Sunday afternoon, whatever, and let's actually really talk about what's really important to us. What spiritually is really important to us. Katie and I have to be really deliberate about that. I'm sure you do as well. Is that right? Or does it come to you just really easily? Or do you have to fight for it? I'm sure we all have to fight for this. I'll give you another example. I'll go a little bit deeper. Katie and I, for a long period of our marriage, we really struggled to pray together, didn't we, love? It was probably more me. I'll take the responsibility. I was a little bit, because I'm the man has to lead spiritually, is that right? Well, that's what you say to me. And, again, we didn't always do that very well. We wouldn't pray together. We wouldn't spend time talking to God, whatever prayer is to you. And again, we have to be really deliberate about it. Sometimes you have those moments, don't you, where you have to step into that awkward moment of, we're going to pray. And, your dad does that marvelously, doesn't he? He likes to pray, even when it's incredibly inconvenient. He would take any opportunity to, have some sort of a meditation or whatever, even though when the kids are screaming and there's a blustering wind and we're all starving. And then he gets incredibly criticized. He's got it slightly turned up, hasn't he? Anyway, so the theme for this year, for the whole of Rising Brook, is in earth as it is in heaven. So this year we're going to be looking at, bringing heaven down, opening heaven up, and bringing things down here on earth. So we're going to be talking lots about prayer, We're going to have lots of conversations in the next 12 months about prayer. We're also going to have lots of conversations and themes about worship. So they're the kind of the key cornerstones of this year of what we're going to be looking and exploring and putting the spotlight on. So next week and the week after, or for 3 weeks, we're going to be looking at prayer a bit and talking about intercession and personal prayer and hopefully spark a new energy and a new life into what prayer is. So for 2019, I would, like I've already said, I would be so thrilled to hear and be part of your personal journey with God, and seeing a consequence and seeing a behavior that only comes from that relationship. So I would encourage you to jump into the funnel and to give of your time, to give of your treasure, to give of your talent, and come and be part of the things that God has given us, this building. You know, we really believe that this building is just an incredible opportunity for us to invite other people into, to host celebrations and parties and things where we can invite the community into it, and we can show them something, can't we? We can show them the love that they're all looking for. So come and be part of that. Come and invest in those moments. And obviously, I totally appreciate a lot of us have got incredible jobs. And, you know, that's equally as important, isn't it? It's wonderful that we've got people in our community who give the majority of their time to something in the world, in the marketplace. And we want to support that as well. And we want to celebrate, and we want to hear what God is doing through you in whatever you're doing during the week. So if we could have that last little. So 2019, it's a bit of an echo from 2018 about time, talent, and treasure. But come and be part of it. And so what I would like us to do now, it would just be really good if we could turn into twos and just pray for one another. Just share with one another what you're hoping for 2019, what you're wanting to invest in, what you are wanting to abandon and jump into. And just pray with one another about that. And then we'll go into some worship. So this is where I will stop talking, and now you can talk to one another.